Hello and welcome to my review of Greenland, the new apocalypse movie starring Gerard Butler as the main character, trying to save him and his family from the impending disaster. Is it good? Is it as linear as Gerard Butler's normal movies are? Find out next. So, we know with Gerard Butler's movies what we're really going to get. They're going to be very linear, action based, and normally he's going to be blowing things up or saving people, as he did in those three treacles, we can call them, falling down, angels falling, something's falling, presidents are being saved. Anyway, we knew where they were going. However, this movie is one of those strange ones where when I was watching it, I wasn't expecting a lot. And actually, Gerard Butler, although he's a very good action star, I don't think he's one of those people that appeal to me massively because his movies are very, very linear. So when I did come across it and did start watching it, I was surprised. The movie focuses primarily on one family. The main character, John Garrity, played by Gerard Butler, and his wife, Alison Garrity, played by Morena Baccarin, hopefully I've said that correctly, and their small son. Now, their son has diabetes, which adds a little bit of an aspect to this film. The real question is, what does the movie try to deliver? And the answer to that? Not a huge amount. In fact, when you start watching the movie, you realize quite quickly that the focus isn't really on this apocalyptic event that you're expecting to happen, and that almost played as a background to the whole movie. What it is focusing on is the family aspect of the movie, and actually that meant that Act 1 and Act 2 went very, very quickly for me, which was a good thing. And not a good thing in the way that, oh, I want this film to finish, but it meant that my focus and my expectations were completely different to what I was expecting when I saw the trailer to this film. As the film goes along, you start to see that the focus of the film isn't actually on this world-ending event, but it's actually on humans and how we interact with each other when there's certain things that are going on. It's very, very subtle in the way it does this, but what it does show is that how we do interact with each other changes depending on the scenarios in terms of the size of the event. So, for example, we know there's a pandemic going on right now, and although most humans have been good and helpful and there's great stories out there, what we have also seen is some selfishness and some greed, i.e. when people have bought out all the stock of certain items that are needed by others and not considering that stockpiling isn't a good thing. What they do smart in these movies, they really start to focus on the ideas of humans and how humans can have subtle changes as their opinions change depending on who they interact with. And actually that's portrayed quite well in the second act, and it does follow through to the third act. And that's something that I think would appeal to many viewers because it stops you from expecting this movie to just be your 2012 or Deep Impact or Armageddon. And actually it takes it away from that and it's something completely different, which is appealing. There are some other interesting aspects that this film doesn't focus on, which I liked, and it doesn't fully focus on socialism, and that's not a bad thing, because sometimes movies try to focus on how people are so rich and they have a different lifestyle to how people are poor and how they interact with others. It doesn't look at that, but what it actually looks at is the greater humankind and how humans will change, and you will get people who will either look out for themselves or people that will overly try to help other people. And this movie doesn't force you to hate or like certain people, it just makes you understand that actually everybody is trying to survive and people go about it in different ways. And that makes this movie a little bit more in-depth and a little bit more thoughtful than I was expecting it to be. Looking at some of the cons, I mean, there are some pacing issues. It does flow generally quite well, but there are a few stop-start positions, and you think that they don't really lead anywhere, and that's a bit of a shame. But actually, when you take a step back and you look at what the movie's trying to tell you and how the movie's trying to sell itself to you, it's not that much of an issue. And actually, it can also become a bit of a pro because of this. I also like the fact that the family itself work really, really well together, and it doesn't stigmatize any of personal issues that people may be having. In fact, what it does is it shows that each person is fighting their own battle. And unfortunately, in events like this, it does happen where it might look selfish on the outside, but they're not trying to be selfish, they're just trying to survive. One of the things about this film that I wanted to kind of talk about was it was a lot more serious than I thought it would be, but in a way that I wasn't expecting. And I believe that that could be because actually one of the reasons it's not a high budget movie, but it wasn't quite a low budget movie, which means that it kind of fell in the middle. So they had to focus a little bit more on the plot and the thinking and the way that people interact with each other, as opposed to the big CGI moments. And it's one of those things that also doesn't happen a lot anymore. I mean, medium budget movies are very, very rare. You either get the less than 5 million or the big 75 plus blockbusters. But this does very well with its budget. And I think that's one of its assets. So overall, what do I think of this movie? Well, actually, I liked it more than I was expecting to. And this is great because I like it when I go into a movie expecting little and getting more. And actually, Gerard Butler does succeed very well in being this family man who isn't just trying to save the world. So what would I give this movie? I would give this movie a C+. And that's because it does have pacing issues. And yes, I was expecting more than it actually managed to achieve in the end. But at the same time, I wasn't as disappointed as I was expecting to be. And so it sits in the middle. There's some good points. And it's one of those films where you can kind of watch it with something going on in the background, but there's enough in it that it'll keep drawing you back and making you want to see what happens up until the end. Anyway, I hope you like my review. Please do give me a like. Do comment on what you thought of the movie and also comment on the reviews. Please do subscribe, and I will see you in my next review, which is the Kung Fu series Cobra Kai Season 3. Thank you very much, and I'll talk soon.